The main concepts of transcendental philosophies contain the following themes, including divinity of nature, being versus living, rebellion against conformity, self-reliance, and civil disobedience. Vegan and vegetarianism correlate with these common themes, and we will discuss the relationships between these in the following slides.
The term vegan is not only a noun, but is also an adjective, giving this word multiple meanings. A vegan is a person who does not eat any food derived from animals and who typically does not use any other animal products. Usually this person has valid reasons to be vegan, whether that is non-animal cruelty, health/dietary restrictions, to shrink the environmental footprint, and sometimes even trying to reduce the risk of chronic diseases.
0.5% of the adult population is currently vegan. In other words, half of 1% of the 1.62 million people in the United States are vegan. Only 1/3 maintain the diet for 3 months or less, and 53% of former vegan and vegetarians adapted to the diet for less than 1 year. People who become vegetarians or vegans are able to change their lifestyle for only so long before turning back to their traditional behaviors. Additionally, 88% of Americans have never been vegetarian or vegan in their lifetime. So why is this? Well, this has to do with several factors that indicate that vegan and vegetarians have developed a non-conformist lifestyle in society as they turn away from traditional consumption norms. This can be very effective but difficult change for people in the way their diet schedules and relationships with others are impacted by this change. In a passage of an essay written by Ralph Waldo Emerson, Self-Reliance serves the idea that people should follow their own thoughts and live by their own beliefs despite what society depicts as the right idea. He said society is a joint stock company in which the members agree for the better securing of his bread for each shareholder, to surrender the liberty and culture of the eater. The virtue in most quest is conformity. Self-reliance is its aversion. It loves not realities and creators, but names and customs. Emerson said this to express that people in society conform to ways that may benefit them. Going along with the group brings them positive outcomes rather than facing repercussions from following in their own footsteps. In this quote, Emerson creates a metaphor that uses bread and food to show how people surrendered their liberties in the efforts to obtain these necessities, standing by their ground. This related to the novel Into the Wild, where Chris McCandless pushes past societal indifference and follows his own path. Rather than being given the essential resources, he fights for them independently. Similar to this, vegetarian and vegan lifestyles are simply acts of nonconformity as people use religion and more to change their mindset on their way of life. Vegan and vegetarians find their own processes and a sense of individuality as they rely on natural plants and vegetables instead of wildlife and other living things.
Henry David Thoreau was one of the most influential transcendentalists of his time and still has effects on society to this day. Thoreau rejected the ideas of a classic society as he did not pay his taxes as a protest against the government in a peaceful manner. Similar to veganism, vegans do not conform to norms, not only through the food they eat, but the clothes and products they use. As seen in prior statistics, most of the American population eats meat, meaning that the population that is vegan transcended the more classic roles. Being able to find replacements for proteins and successful substitutes is a very accurate representation of Thoreau's transcendentalism value as he encourages others to think and live in ways that fight injustices, or in other words, social norms. In this TED Talk, Graham Hill discusses stereotypical vegan versus meat-eating statistics. This includes eating a hamburger a day increases the risk of dying by 1/3, and how beef production uses 100 times the water most vegetables do. He lays the groundwork for the many reasons he went vegetarian, but the main one was his outlook he had on this. The weekday veg was his way of going about this. This allowed him to have a structured meat-eating schedule. Even though having no meat 5 days a week, it still cuts 70% of your meat intake. Hill gives a realistic way of approaching vegetarianism to people who are not willing to devote themselves 100% to not eating meat. His perspective on this is not making huge steps, but instead smaller ones.
I knew that eating a mere hamburger a day could increase my risk of dying by 1/3. cruelty, I knew that the 10 billion animals we raise each year for meat are raised in factory farm conditions that we hypocritically wouldn't even consider for our own cats, dogs, and other pets. Environmentally, meat, amazingly, causes more emissions than all of transportation combined. Cars, trains, planes, buses, boats, all of it. And beef production uses 100 times the water that most vegetables do.
There are many celebrities that are vegan. One of the most well-known ones is Joaquin Phoenix. He is a very well-known actor who is most famous for his role as the Joker in 2019. In addition to his monumental role, he is a vegan activist. In this case, Phoenix bases his veganism on the well-being of the animals along with the effect it has on the environment, and he uses his fame and prominent role in society to voice his opinions on this topic. He led a protest in 2019 that supported National Animal Rights Day. As being one of Hollywood's most famous actors, he goes against the more traditional ways of meat consumption of this lifestyle. Alicia Silverstone is an American actress who starred in the hit movie Clueless in 1995. Silverstone became a true vegan in 1998 and since then has participated in several different PETA campaigns. She's a vegan because she took the initiative in learning where her meats were coming from and understood the hardship manufacturers and companies put the animals through.
The stereotypical view of a vegan diet is that it requires a privileged lifestyle. However, vegans spend on average 40% less on food than vegetarians and carnivores. About 59% of vegans recorded in a survey restrict to a vegan or vegetarian diet due to concern for the environment. Animal agriculture is also responsible for 18% of all greenhouse gas emissions, which completely correlates with the factor of why people stray away from meat diets. Another reason for vegan and vegetarian diets consists of the religious and spiritual beliefs containing 22% of the U.S. population. People develop a deeper understanding for the meaning of life and how animal cruelty is a harsh factor. In response to injustice in animal consumption, as well as defending natural life, people adapt to new diets to go against traditional carnivorous lifestyles. The United States is traditionally known for its meat and potatoes culture and the pride that has been adapted to throughout history in America. However, vegetarians and vegans go against this country's cultural depiction. Vegetarians transcend and discover new motivation despite societal pressures. To go against such strong culture in America can be significantly difficult, making the argument of vegans and vegetarians just that more personal and individualistic. They find their own sense of pride in their beliefs and stand by their morals in order to make a statement. Furthermore, this idea of individualism shines through as vegans and vegetarians create their own community of non-conformists who rise against common culture. This shows not only a personal significance, but also presents the integrity of individuals who lack the need to follow traditional norms in society.